cartoon characters who embody the role of a bad friend, two names always come to mind. Dodie Bishop from As Told by Ginger and Dijonay Jones from the Proud Family. These two have made a name for themselves in the cartoon world, not just for being memorable characters, but for consistently crossing the line when it comes to friendship. Whether it's spilling secrets, chasing popularity at their best friend's expense, or simply being fake when it matters most, both Dodie and Dijonay have shown time and time again that loyalty isn't exactly their strong suit. In their respective shows, we've watched them betray Ginger Foutley and Penny Proud in ways that left many of us frustrated, disappointed, and wondering why these friendships even lasted as long as they did. Honestly, when it comes to bad cartoon besties, these two take the cake. But it got me thinking, between Dodie and Dijonay, who really is the worst friend? Who has done the most damage, crossed the most lines, and showed the least growth? In this video, I'll be going into a deep dive of both of these characters, breaking down their most toxic traits, examining how their environments and upbringings may have influenced their behavior, revisiting some of their most unforgivable moments, and ultimately trying to answer the question, who is the worst friend, Dodie or Dijonay? Now, while Dodie and Dijonay come from two very different shows, you'll be surprised how much they actually have in common when it comes to how they treat their friends. Both characters have a habit of using their positions of influence, no matter how small, to elevate themselves, even if it means throwing their best friends under the bus in the process. Whether it's chasing popularity, exploiting private information, or flat out being messy for attention, Dodie and Dijonay are surprisingly similar in how they prioritize themselves over the people closest to them. Let's look at two specific episodes that highlight these toxic patterns in almost identical ways. In As Told by Ginger, the episode of Lice and Friends, we see how far Dodie is willing to go for a little bit of spotlight. When she lands a job doing the school's morning announcements, she sees it as a chance to be admired. Instead of just sticking to the basics, she decides that announcements are too boring and starts turning them into a gossip platform. She dishes out personal information about other students, stirring up drama for the sake of being noticed. And when a lice outbreak happens at school, Dodie doesn't hesitate to announce to everyone that Ginger's mom will be the one checking the students for lice. As you can imagine, this humiliates Ginger. Her classmates immediately start teasing her, calling her mom Lice Lady. Ginger, clearly upset, confronts Dodie, hoping for at least a little empathy. But Dodie brushes it off, saying that it was a hot story that couldn't be ignored just because it involved her friend. This moment is key. It shows Dodie's complete disregard for Ginger's feelings in favor of attention. But it doesn't stop there. Dodie later gets her hands on a list of students who actually have lice, and instead of handling it responsibly, or better yet, leaving it alone completely, she gets excited at the idea of reading the names out loud over the announcements. She especially gets excited when she sees Courtney Grippling, the most popular girl in school, on the list. In Dodie's mind, exposing Courtney is her big opportunity. She's literally about to broadcast a list of kids with lice to the entire school until Ginger swoops in and disconnects the microphone just in time. In response, Dodie is upset. Not because she almost crossed a major line, but because Ginger ruined her quote-unquote big moment. It's a disturbing example of how deeply self-serving she can be. Even when given the chance to make it right, Dodie only apologizes once her actions completely blow up in her face. Now compare that to the Proud Family episode Rumors. In this episode, Dijonay lands a similar position working as the school's gossip reporter. And just like Dodie, she immediately uses it as a platform to stir drama. In a big scandal, she spreads a completely twisted version of what happened between Penny and Myron. During a game of Spin the Bottle, Penny's bottle lands on Myron, but she does everything she can to avoid kissing him. Unfortunately, La Cienega locks them in a closet together, and Myron, who's claustrophobic, passes out. Penny calls for help and her parents find them, but the next day at school, Dijonay tells the entire school that Penny and Myron were making out in the closet. Dijonay knows that's not what happened, but she doesn't care. When Penny calls her out, Dijonay doesn't apologize. She doesn't backtrack. She simply shrugs it off and says she's just doing her job. There's zero remorse and zero concern about how the rumor could damage Penny's reputation. Just like Dodie, Dijonay gets caught up in the attention and status that comes with being the center of gossip. The more chaos she causes, the more people notice her, and that's really what she wants. So when you put these two stories side by side, the similarities are striking. Both Dodie and Dijonay are trusted with the platform and immediately abuse it. They both exploit their best friends for popularity. They both downplay the damage of what they've done. And at the end of it all, neither of them sees anything wrong with sacrificing someone they claim to care about. as long as it means they get a moment in the spotlight. As much as Dodie and Dijonay mirror each other and their toxic behavior, the root causes behind their actions are very different, and those differences matter. The biggest divide between the two lies in their upbringing and environment. While this doesn't excuse their actions, it gives us a clearer understanding of why they behave the way they do. I've actually made 2 separate videos breaking down their backgrounds more in depth, so if you want a deeper dive into their family dynamics and how those shape them, definitely check those out. For now, I just want to touch on the most important aspects that help us better understand each character. Again, this isn't to justify what they've done. Dodie and Dijonay have done some terrible things and have been some terrible friends. But at the end of the day, they're kids. And like many kids, they are very much products of the environments they're growing up in. So let's start with Dodie. Dodie's obsession with popularity is one of her most defining traits. She chases popularity with a level of desperation that's almost painful to watch. But that desperation isn't random. It's deeply rooted in her self-image and the dynamics of her home life. At school, Dodie is socially awkward, often overlooked, and clearly feels like an outsider. Yes, she has friends like Ginger and Macy, but in Dodie's eyes, they aren't popular enough. She's constantly wanting to level up socially, even if it means betraying the very people who care about her. At home, things aren't much better for her. Dodie's mom, Dodie Bishop, is a controlling figure who doesn't exactly foster self-confidence. Dodie is frequently bossed around, and her home life doesn't give her room to express herself or feel seen. She's also dealing with a younger brother who embarrasses her, and overall, her home doesn't seem to be a place where she feels cool, confident, or special. So when she's at school, she tries to reinvent herself, doing whatever it takes to be noticed and accepted, even if it means sabotaging her friends. One of the most revealing moments about Dodie's character is actually tied to her mom's past. In one episode, we find out that Joanne once worked at Dodie's school and started dressing and acting like a middle schooler to fit in with the students. She even started going by the name Josie, the name of a popular girl that she idolized as a kid. Dodie's dad revealed that Joanne was also unpopular growing up and would throw her own friends under the bus just to be accepted. So it's no coincidence that Dodie has inherited those exact same traits. It's a learned behavior passed down from a mother who, even as an adult, still seems to be chasing popularity herself. Dodie's behavior may be frustrating, but it's not coming out of nowhere. Now let's talk about Dijonay. Her circumstances are completely different. Dijonay is the oldest of 10 children in a household that is clearly struggling financially. She shares 2 small bedrooms with her siblings and is often left in charge of them at her young age. We're talking about a middle schooler acting as a parent to 9 other children. That's an overwhelming amount of pressure for any kid. It's no surprise that she acts out, craves attention, and sometimes behaves selfishly in a lot of ways. She's just trying to reclaim a sense of control over her own life. There are moments in the show where we see just how irresponsible her parents are. One specific example is when they say they're going to the grocery store and leave the chain triplets in charge, only for it to be revealed later that they actually went to the movies. They lied to them, abandoned their responsibilities as parents, and left all of their children in the hands of other children. And on top of that, they keep having more kids, continuing a cycle of chaos that Dijonay is left to deal with as the older sibling. This environment has clearly shaped her sense of self-worth and her interactions with others. Dijonay has learned to put herself first, not because she's evil, but because she's constantly in survival mode. She mimics the selfishness that she sees at home, and it comes out most clearly in the way that she treats her friends. What makes her even more complicated is the way that she navigates her friendship with Penny. I genuinely think that Dijonay knows that she does wrong, but also knows that Penny will probably forgive her. There's a kind of imbalance in their friendship. Penny sees herself as superior, and she pities Dijonay. And that pity allows Dijonay to keep crossing lines without fear of real consequences. So after breaking down both Dodie and Dijonay's behavior, their betrayals, and the environment that helped shape them, it's clear that neither of these girls are winning any Best Friend of the Year awards. Dodie is driven by her desperation to fit in, often throwing loyalty out of the window if it means that she can be seen, heard, or accepted. Her need for validation, passed down from her own mother, has caused her to betray Ginger more times than we can count. And what makes it worse is that she rarely ever sees herself as the problem. Even when she does apologize, it often feels like she's doing it just to get back on Ginger's good side, not because she genuinely wants to change. On the other hand, Dijonay operates out of survival and chaos. With all of the responsibilities piled on her at home, it's no wonder she seeks control through attention and gossip. But that doesn't excuse the way that she consistently embarrasses, backstabs, or takes advantage of Penny. And while there are many moments where she seems to show self-awareness, she often leans on Penny's forgiveness instead of truly trying to be better. Both girls are messy. Both have hurt their friends. And both show that even in childhood friendships, toxicity can be very real. But now that we've laid everything out, their actions, their intentions, and the reasons behind them, the big question still remains. Who do you think is the worst friend? Is it Dodie with her manipulative thirst for popularity and selfish ambition? Or is it Dijonay with her reckless attitude, lack of accountability, and emotional manipulation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear how you all interpret their behavior, not just as characters, but as reflections of real-world friendship dynamics. Comment your thoughts down below and subscribe for more content like this.